All right, so turning to the impact of the pandemic, according to a recent analysis, the large increase in government aid, and during the pandemic will push the shares of Americans in poverty to the lowest levels on record. The number of poor Americans is expected to drop by nearly 20 million from the year 2018 and a decline of almost 45%. The U.S. has never been able to cut poverty that much in really such a short amount of time. Linda Giannarelli, senior fellow at the Urban Institute, joins us now to discuss more on this. Linda, thank you so much for being here. Can you talk to us about the findings in regard to the current poverty levels and then what sort of impact these programs had on Americans across the country?
Sure, and thank you very much for having me this afternoon. It really is striking that not only were the programs able to keep poverty from increasing, but in fact, the programs all combined resulted in a reduction in poverty. So according to the poverty measure that we're using, the poverty rate before the pandemic was 13.9%, according to the definition we're using. So despite the big increase in unemployment due to the pandemic, because of all the government help, not only the programs that are regularly in the safety net, but the additional things that were added, we're getting a poverty estimate of 7.7% for 2021. So that's a big reduction from the pre-pandemic levels, despite the big increase in unemployment.
I wonder what specific programs, if you know, really contributed more to the cutting of this poverty level that we're seeing.
Sure, that's a great question because there were so many different elements of the response. The single biggest contributor to the reduction in poverty was the stimulus checks. So that was the number one. In fact, just because of the stimulus checks, if all of the other elements had been there, but the stimulus checks hadn't, there would be 12.4 million more people in poverty. Or in other words, the stimulus checks kept 12.4 million people out of poverty. The next most important was SNAP benefits, or what's commonly referred to as food stamps. The SNAP program is always there, but during the pandemic, the SNAP benefits were enhanced and increased. And SNAP by itself kept 7.9 million people out of poverty. And then third up was unemployment benefits at about 6.7 million. So those were the big three. And then other contributors, the child tax credit, programs like the earned income tax credit. Also, some states had their own stimulus programs. So all of those contributed to the total finding that we received.
Do we have insight into what age groups or demographics saw the biggest drop and then what's attributed to that?
That is a great question as well. So the particularly large impact of the programs was for children. For children, if we look at what we think the poverty rate would have been without any government benefits at all, and then we compare that to the poverty rate with all the benefits, there's about an 80% reduction in the poverty rate for children. And the reason for that is that some of the programs are specifically targeted on children. For example, the child tax credit, as well as the fact that for the stimulus checks, there were add-on additional benefits for families with kids. So there was some targeting of some of the benefits towards families with kids.
You know, I only have about 30 seconds with you here, but I want to get this question in. Do you think that providing more of a robust safety net with some of these programs like unemployment benefits, SNAP benefits, is that the right way to start ending poverty in this country? Are we headed in the right direction, or is there something else that needs to be done?
Well, it is. I think what this has shown is something that's also been shown in other research, which is that if you put together a package of benefits that assist families in different situations, not only families who were unemployed, but also families who were poor despite working, that if you put together a package of different kinds of benefits, you can have a very substantial impact on poverty. So I would say that one of the big takeaways is that need to have different elements of the safety net addressing different reasons for families being in poverty.
All right, thank you so much for being here, providing your insights. Senior fellow at the Urban Institute, Linda Giannarelli. Thank you again.